Lance is here with us now.
Lance Dixon.
I'm sorry, Lance White, a totally different guy. Lance White is Orange County All-Stars.
He will be.
This is LP, Lance Dixon. Thank you for reminding me what your name is.
I'm one of your visible friends.
Not for long, not like that, brother. All right, Lance, I finally turned your microphone on so people can hear what you're saying.
I said, I'm one of your visible friends.
No, we'll see how that works out.
Right. You no one can see.
Did you bring a joke for us tonight?
I have a book here, and what's this preface you handed me to read? Oh, yes. All opinions expressed by Opie Dixon are not necessarily those of Pass the Hat or its sponsors.
Well played, sir.
Right. So that frees you from all guilt.
You don't know my life. I got a lot of guilt.
Well, I'm a comedian. Sometimes things just come to me, like, jokes, you're in the shower, and I'm like, hey, cannibals prefer battered women. And now you're going to get a bunch of complaints. See, again, the drummer left, and I have no rim shot 5000 to work with.
We're working on getting a rim shot.
All right. Well, we're going to delve further into my past and why I'm such a strange person. I guess it comes from your parents.
From my parents?
My parents.
Oh, okay.
Feel free to jump in anytime. It's not like I have practiced this in the mirror for 1,000 times. Which is strange to do for a radio show. My father, I'm Lance Patrick Dixon. My father was Lance Eric. Unfortunately, my father was in the Marine Corps in the 50s when they came up with a rank called Lance Corporal. And so my father has had to spend half of his enlistment being Lance Corporal Lance Dixon. And he was in the 50s, was integrated. My father was sort of a wise guy. I don't know where I get it from. I remember he was walking around base with a camera, and some of the African-American Marines would say, hey, take my picture. And my father would go, oh, no colored film. Again, all opinions of Lance Dixon are not those of the radio station or its sponsors.
Yeah, and I've got all the other microphones turned off so the audience can't hear
exactly
the laughter.
This is great. This is wonderful stuff. So my father was a sort of guy who, even when he was playing games with his kids, had to cheat because he had to win. He was a very driven guy. He ended up being head of purchasing and logistics at Bose, this bigger company. Very driven, organized guy. And so if you got into a squirt gun fight on those 2 days in New Hampshire where it was hot and sunny out, my father would come back with a bucket. 2 days later, while you slept. He was just one of those guys. And he was always trying to challenge us as children to think. So we would go to baseball games and we would get stuff, hot dogs and things. He would come back, and my father wasn't very good with details when it came to baseball games. So we'd come back and we wouldn't quite get what we wanted to, from the hot dogs and pretzels and things. And my father would go, well, what do you want? That's why they call it a concession stand. And then he would just sort of stare at us for a second and try to make us put it all together in our heads. He would always say things like, if you have a pet possum, always wait at least 12 hours before you bury it. Wouldn't explain why. We're just supposed to get the joke. But moving on, I'm only here in the South as a guest. I've only been here about 5 months. And one of the first things I saw when I heard you talking about the shoes going into the bar is I went to a convenience store out in the country, and things are a little bit different down south. There was a sign on the door that just said, no shirt, no shoes. Like, that's it. Like it was condoning it, or maybe it was a policy. I really don't know. But, so, delving back further in my childhood, why I'm so strange, it all comes from a sort of this dark imagination I was born with. I grew up in the Midwest, right after the glaciers receded, and we had killed all the mammoths, and we built all these suburbs and things. And so I remember a birthday party when I was a child, and my mother had taken a very, very long time, lovingly making this dessert at a birthday party, which consisted of a scoop of vanilla ice cream, and little cherry red hot candies for eyes, and then an ice cream cone for the hat, and then you take piped whipped cream and you make the collar of the clown, and you put a dollop on top of the ice cream cone, and you make the poof on the top of the clown's hat. So she made about a dozen of these clown sundaes for all these kids for the birthday party. So these all get served, and I start freaking out and tearing up, and finally I say, it's just the head. And all I could imagine is all of these decapitated little ice cream clowns and a butcher block and a cleaver, and you took a spoon. I'm sure that I was dead sure that there was a little walnut brain inside each little severed clown head. But
Happy birthday.
happy birthday. Happy birthday. But that's what happens. But I've passed the strangeness on to my children. You have to attack the universe in a different way. The Boy Scouts likes to challenge people and teach them skills. So they, right after we got our whittling chit, C-H-I-T, all opinions of Lance Dixon are those of himself and not of the sponsors of the radio station. And so they had all this food set up, and they have your little buck knife, and they give you some wood, and they say, hey, as soon as you whittle utensils, you can eat. So, being neck deep in Western culture, most of these Boy Scouts in New Hampshire start making spoons and forks. I wink at my kids. We walk over to a tree, or we take the knife sticks, in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're eating now.
We're eating now. Okay, because, when you put my brain in between food and, as an obstacle, that's exactly what happens.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely, necessity is the mother of invention. So, yeah, we were driving around, and my wife's Christian name, pre-married name is Cormier. So we were talking about names and things. So we were going, well, what does Dixon mean? Well, Dixon with an X is the Irish Dixon, which means 10 sons. So at some point there was a family with 10 sons. And my kids go, well, what does Cormier mean? And without a drop of hat, my son goes, oh, that means to be drunk in public. So whenever we go around and people ask what Cormier means, it's actually a very nice village in France. So it doesn't actually mean to be drunk in public. It's a vicious rumor. And all these rumors are solely my opinion and not those of the radio station or its sponsors. Very clear about it. Very, very, very clear about it. So 2 possums go into a museum, and they see a skeleton on display of a 3rd possum. And so the other possum says to the other possum, wow, he's good. And that's the last joke I have.
Little joke grenades.
Just little joke grenades.
Throw them out there, and you don't know when they're going to go off.
At some point tomorrow, you might be doing dishes and laugh at that.
You might.
Exactly.
If you did dishes. And by the way, you're listening to Lance Dixon as Coleslaw gets set up for our 7 o'clock slot, and you are listening to WHUP LP Hillsboro.
Great. Anyway, I can be found on YouTube, or you just Google LP Dixon, D-I-X-O-N. I've been here 5 months. Bob's been welcomed me into his very sacred space here at WHUP. Not everyone makes the cut here, and
well, not twice.
Not twice. I mean, washing your car is actually not the worst thing.
It's working for me.
Yeah. Have we told the audience how me and you met originally?
No.
Well, actually, if you actually come to the station, which you should do and see the bands, you'll notice that both me and Bob are about the same height, and we both have beards and wavy, beautiful hair like a mink, actually. And so what would end up in a small community like Hillsboro is we end up meeting at police lineups about, every 3 or 4 weeks?
Pretty regular, actually.
Turn to the right, turn to the left. Oh, hi, Bob. No talking. And so after about the 4th or 5th time, we started talking, asked what we were doing. And we ended up, oh, you're in radio. Oh, you do comedy. And we started hanging out. So
Match made in heaven.
Match made.
Or jail.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly.
So, Lance, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're going to come back and do this for us again, right?
Absolutely. I'll go do more legal drugs and hang out in my sketchbook and write more things and come back.
I like it. We've got Coleslaw setting up here in the studio, and we're going to listen to just a little bit of Wes Collins for the next couple of minutes. And Coleslaw's been